Welcome to the Spring Pre-Test Training for School Test Coordinators. This is a Tolleson Union High School District PD Squared training. The pre-ID label contains student-specific information that otherwise will be hand-bubbled on the answer documents. The pre-ID labels will be packaged in the School Test Coordinator's kit and will be accompanied by a roster and sorted by school, subject, cohort, and name. Writing, reading, and mathematics labels will be produced for all students in the sophomore cohort and all upper class students who have not passed an Ames content area. Science labels will be produced for all students in the freshman and sophomore cohort. If a student has a label, then it's important to use it. You may affix the label to the answer document before or after testing. However, affixing the label may not be done by a student. If a student does not have a pre-ID label, then the test administrator or designated adult is responsible for bubbling student demographic data on scoreable Ames and Stanford 10 materials. Some student identification information is included in a pre-ID label. Other information must be hand-bubbled. The amount of information bubbled on the demographic data grid depends on the presence or absence of a pre-ID label and the specific student. For answer documents with a pre-ID label, do not bubble any information in sections A through H on the demographic data grid, as all of this information is already coded within the pre-ID label. If students do not have pre-ID labels, then student demographic data grid sections A through H must be completed by the test coordinator, test administrator, or other designated school personnel. The student demographic data grid is not to be completed by students. Directions for completing sections A through H are included in the test administration directions. Print only one letter or number per box. Fill in the first box on the left. However, if the SACE ID number, student ID number, and or birth date does not completely fill the available boxes, you must add zeros to the front of the number. For any student who receives standard accommodations, the fields for those accommodations found in Section K on the back of the answer document must be completed even if a pre-ID label is used. In summary, if a pre-ID label is used, then do not grid student demographic information. If student demographic information is gridded, then do not use a pre-ID label. Never submit an answer document with both a pre-ID label and gridded student demographic information. It is critical that school test coordinators or trained designees evaluate each student answer document for the following. The content area on the pre-ID label must match the content area on the answer document. The student identified on the pre-ID label is the same as the student handwritten name. The content area on the pre-ID label must match the content area on the student's answer document. Specific guidance on how to respond to misalignment is provided by the Arizona Department of Education. If the handwritten name does not match the pre-ID label, do not attempt to remove the label. Do not mark out the label. Instead, cover the incorrect pre-ID label with a blank white label and hand bubble the correct student information on the back of the answer document. Additionally, if the student notices the incorrect label prior to testing, provide a new blank answer document to the student and hand bubble the student information on the back of the answer document. Ames are secure documents. Therefore, it is essential that test materials remain secure throughout the testing process, including all stages of material processing. Ames will be shipped in dual-purpose boxes that will be used for both receiving and shipping materials. Therefore, it is important to keep all boxes for return shipping. Test materials will be available for retrieval on the date and time indicated in the TUHSD critical date notice. The test coordinator is responsible for inventorying and processing the test materials. When you retrieve the test materials, you should compare actual quantities of test books and answer documents received with the quantities listed on the school packing list. If there are any discrepancies on the packing list, these must be noted. It is advised that you save all packing lists from the initial order and any additional orders to aid in the completion of the material inventory sheet when materials are returned. The TUSD critical date notice provides the date and time that any additional orders are due. It is advised that you compare the quantities of test books and answer documents received with the quantities needed for testing as soon as possible. Additionally, you should verify shipping materials in the test coordinator's kit. If additional test, scoring, or shipping materials are needed, place an additional order by contacting the district test coordinator by the deadline. After testing, each test book and answer document should be inspected. It is advised that the following process be utilized. Separate test books and answer documents into individual stacks. Verify that the student has completed his or her name, teacher name, i.e. test administrator, school, and district on the front of the test book and answer document. Confirm the use of the pre-ID label. If a pre-ID label is not used, then confirm the student demographic data grid located on the back of the answer document has been completed. Confirm that the pre-ID label matches the student's handwritten name on the front of the answer document or the student name hand bubbled on the back. Verify that the letter of the test book form the student used is correctly coded on the answer document. Ensure that accommodation information on the answer document has been correctly coded for all students receiving standard accommodations. Confirm that marks on the answer document have been made with a number 2 pencil and any erasers are complete and neat. Please note that light marks and marks made with colored pencils, ink, or felt tip pen markers or highlighters cannot be properly scored. It is advised that the aforementioned marking errors be corrected by marking over a student's response with a number 2 pencil. Double check all test books are free of student answer documents. And finally, verify that student responses needing transfer, such as contaminated test materials, large print, etc., have been made to a standard regular sized answer document. Scorable materials are student answer documents. When preparing test materials for return, test coordinator should organize the answer documents by content area and cohort. After groups are created, the test coordinator should complete the header sheet or Stanford 10 SSIS. The data provided on the school score reports is disaggregated based on the information contained in the header sheets. Therefore, each group of completed answer documents may include students from only one cohort and one content area. Additionally, the TUHSD group code on the header sheet should be used. And follow the directions for completing the header sheet or SSIS sheet as described in the test coordinator manual. When binding groups, place a header sheet or SSID sheet with side 1 facing up on the top of the stack of scorables for each group. Use the bands provided in the test coordinator kit to horizontally or vertically secure the groups together. When dealing with large groups, a group significantly larger than 100, we are asking that you bind the groups together in successive stacks of 100. In this situation, you can make as many stacks as needed. One header sheet, or SSID sheet, is needed per stack. For large groups with multiple stacks and multiple header sheets, make certain that each group name on each header sheet is identical. When binding small groups, it's important to know that a header sheet must be completed for each group. Do not combine multiple groups, regardless of how small, under the same header sheet. Do not bind multiple groups together. When completing the school header list, the school header list contains information used to verify the school's entire returned shipment of scorable materials has been received. There are separate school header lists for Stanford 10 in each content area of Ames. The test coordinator manual provides specific directions for completing the header list. When boxing scorable test materials, place bundled groups in the return shipping box in reverse order that they are listed on the school header list, so that the groups will be removed from the box at the district office in the same order as listed on the school header list. The school header list should be placed at the top of the first box. Non-scorable materials include used and unused Ames content test books, unused Ames answer documents, used and unused Ames large print or Braille test materials, Ames test administration directions, test coordinator manuals, all unused return shipping labels, all unused pre-ID labels, and all unused pre-slug header sheets or SSID sheets. Test administration directions are not to be returned until after the administration of the final spring tests. Stanford 10 test books, unused answer documents, and directions for administering are to be kept in secure storage for use next year. Do not return Stanford 10 materials with the non-scorables. Complete the material inventory sheet by counting the number of each type of document. Note the totals on the appropriate material inventory sheets. Note any missing test books and provide an explanation. The test coordinator manual provides specific directions for completing the material inventory sheet. Box all non-scorable test materials. Place the material inventory sheet at the top of the first non-scorable box, and do not mix scorable and non-scorable materials in the same box. Thank you for participating in this training. The School Coordinator Communique provides additional guidance regarding score report processing, alternate methods for meeting graduation requirements, and student group procedures. Please submit your signed security agreement and completed pre-test video guide to the district test coordinator. Upon submission of the required documents, you will receive the certificate for recertification hours.